to Utah Republican Senator Orrin Hatch, who has an idea on how Washington can make Moody's less moody and maybe more happy. Senator, good to have you. I know this on the same day. You have a new addition to your august Republican crowd there. Obviously, the Moody's folks, apart from Scott Brown, are saying you guys aren't worried enough about this spending. What do you say back?
Well, you get me 9 more Scott Browns, and Moody's going to go off the charts in their support of the United States credit rating. The problem is that they know these Democrats are going to spend us right into bankruptcy. Let me just tell you, you look at Obama's, you look at his budget, and you extrapolate it out to 2020 using his figures, we're still going to have $1 trillion deficit in 2020. In other words, they're not serious about getting things under control and stopping the spending. They're spending.
But you know, Senator, I followed the Moody's folks for years, and not, by the way, that their track record is any more reliable than my diet record. But having said that, they said this a couple of times under President Bush. They've actually been saying this on and off for the better part of 3 decades now, that America's better watch what it's doing because this could imperil your credit rating and standing in the world. But now it seems to have hit a certain crescendo that this is a global phenomenon and a worrisome one. What do you say?
Well, let me put that in perspective. I've been in the Senate, this is my 34th year, and there hasn't been one day, except for good presidential leadership, Reagan, Bush 1, Bush 2, even Clinton on occasion, where we had a fiscal conservative majority in the United States Senate, not one day. In other words, President Obama and his cohorts keep blaming the George Bush administration, but what they don't tell you is that they voted for all that spending, and President Obama voted for all that spending. The fact of the matter is that they actually have controlled the spending from all of my 34 years in the Senate.
But there was a period when you guys were in the majority, and with Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
it didn't last very long. You're right, but you know, you're right. I mean, you could go back in time and pick and choose and say whose fault is that. And I know you're not a big fan of doing that on a regular basis, but I wonder then if Republicans then respond by saying, you know, you're right. This slice of just non-discretionary freeze and spending is such a small slice. Maybe we, as the party that's lecturing the other party on spending, have to put the pedal to the metal. And that's a bad Toyota reference these days. But, all of a sudden say everything's on the table. Everything.
I agree with you. You're absolutely right. The point I was making is we've always had 3 to 6 liberals in the Republican Party from blue states. You couldn't blame them, who would go with the all-liberal Democrats, and they always had a majority.
I see.
So we have to change that mindset. We've got to start realizing that this country's got to live within its means, and we're going to have to get rid of an awful lot of bureaucracy that doesn't count, that really isn't important. That, yeah, you can make an argument for it, but it isn't important if you stop and think about what is important to our country. But to do that, we're going to have to get a lot more Scott Browns here to be able to really make a difference.
Still, it was today, as you know, sir, we raised the debt limit in the House, I think another $1.9 trillion. So we obviously were able to extend the credit line a bit to support all of this. Right. How long do you think we can keep doing that? This, again, is something that's been done under Republican and Democratic administrations and Congresses. But that dog don't hunt after a while, right?
Well, again, I'm going to tell you, it's the Congress that makes these terrible spending programs. I don't care who the administration is. Naturally, a Democratic administration is going to spend a lot more than a Republican. But even so, President Bush couldn't get things under control because he never had the votes up here to be able to do it. Yeah, I think we've just got to change the mindset in this country and realize the federal government is not the answer to everything in our lives. That in some ways, it's the impediment to everything in our lives. And there are important things in the government that we ought to support, and there are some things that we really ought to get rid of.
I had David Stockman here, you know, as a seasoned veteran on the Hill, sir, that he was Ronald Reagan's first budget director. And you remember the guy that he brought to the woodshed and all of that. He had said then, and is now in hyperdrive about this today, that obviously neither party can control spending. Neither party can address it. There's a sense that Washington is broken. So forget about just tax hikes coming for the rich. He says that eventually tax hikes are going to come for everybody, and substantially so, to pay for all of this. What do you make of that?
Well, we don't have to go to tax hikes. We can actually go back and trim this government and get some things under control. You know, if you look at this budget of the president's, you know, you're going to have spending be about 77% of the total gross national product. Yeah, we've never been that high before, except maybe at one time in the Second World War, but I don't think we were even that high in the Second World War. We've got to get real around here, and I make the point again. I don't care who the Republican leader is, we have not had a fiscal conservative majority in the United States Senate.
But do you think, though, Senator, that if you did, that this time you'd do it? Because, you know, again, I'm not going to tell someone else, you know, you better eat your vegetables. Are you in the position, individually, notwithstanding, to tell the other party, we're going to show how serious we are about this, even though we had that opportunity and we botched it?
You bet your life. If we ever get a fiscal conservative majority and they don't get spending under control and start trimming back some of the things that aren't important in our government or aren't as important in our government, they're going to hear from me. I'm going to raise some sort of cane like you've never heard before. But I got to admit, in all these years I've been here, it's always been the liberal side that has had a majority, and part of that's from some Republicans too. Right. And I pity the poor Republican presidents because they don't have the fiscal conservative majority to be able to do what they want to do, except on occasion when they've really done great leadership. Even Reagan had to agree to a number of spending programs in order to get the marginal tax rate reductions that we all fought for back then. But it was important to get those.
Well, those are the days when you guys talk to each other. All right, but
well, that's right.
Senator, thank you very much.
Well, some of us still do.
I think you know, you're a very good guy in that respect. Senator Hatch, always good seeing you. Thank you.